My parents had packed a backpack for my little brother. The moment I stopped at a gas station and opened it, everything changed forever. Hi, I'm Beverly Klein. That Saturday morning started like any other in my small apartment just outside Las Vegas. I was making coffee, scrolling through my phone, thinking about grabbing groceries later. Nothing special. Then my phone rang. It was my mum. The second I picked up, I heard her sobbing, her voice breaking in a way I'd never heard before. "Beverly, it's Landon," she managed to say between gasps. "There was a terrible accident. He's in critical condition, at the hospital in Flagstaff. The doctors, they don't know if he'll make it. You have to come right away." My heart stopped. Landon, my little brother, the one I'd always looked out for. I could barely breathe. "What happened?" I asked, but she was crying too hard to explain clearly. Something about him driving back from a trip with friends. Another car. The crash. All I heard was critical and hurry. She told me they'd already prepared a backpack with clean clothes and some things he might need. A neighbour had dropped it off at my place the night before because they thought I'd be visiting him this weekend anyway. I saw it sitting in the hallway exactly where she'd said. I didn't think twice. I grabbed my keys, threw on a jacket, picked up the backpack, and ran to my car. The backpack felt heavier than expected as I tossed it onto the passenger seat, but my mind was only on Landon. I hit the highway toward Flagstaff, pushing the speed limit, praying the whole time. I just needed to get to my brother. That drive was supposed to be about saving him. I had no idea it would uncover something far worse. Before I tell you what I found inside that backpack, and why the police turned pale the moment they saw it, tell me, where are you watching from right now? What time is it there? Drop a comment below and let me know. And if you've ever had a family moment that changed everything in an instant, share that too. Let's connect. The highway stretched out like an endless ribbon of asphalt under the relentless Nevada sun, even with the AC cranked up. Sweat trickled down my back as I gripped the wheel tighter. My little brother was fighting for his life somewhere ahead, and every mile felt too slow. I kept glancing at my phone in the cup holder, hitting redial over and over. Mum's number rang out. Landon's went straight to voicemail. Nothing. Just silence that made my stomach twist harder. Why weren't they answering? They should have been waiting for updates from the hospital, ready to tell me more. The desert rolled by in waves of heat, shimmering off the road. Joshua trees stood like lonely sentinels on either side, and the occasional semi roared past, kicking up dust. I pushed the speedometer higher, weaving through the light traffic, my mind racing faster than the car. Flashes of our childhood kept hitting me. Landon had always been the quiet one, the kid who hid behind me when Dad got loud after a bad day at the office. I remembered the nights he'd sneak into my room after one of those arguments, curling up at the foot of my bed like a scared puppy. We'd whisper about running away someday, building a fort where no one could yell at us. I was the big sister, the protector. 10 years older, I'd promised myself I'd never let anything hurt him, even as adults. That hadn't changed. When he lost his job last year, I was the one who helped him update his resume, drove him to interviews. Mum and Dad had been tough on him growing up, always pushing for better grades, better choices. I'd shielded him where I could take in the heat sometimes, so he wouldn't have to. The backpack sat on the passenger seat, shifting slightly with every curve. It was heavier than I expected, for just clothes and toiletries pressing down on the seat cushion. Maybe Mum had thrown in some of Landon's favourite snacks, those protein bars he lived on, or extra blankets in case the hospital room was cold. She always thought of details like that. My throat burned. The worry, mixed with the dry desert air, made it hard to swallow. I needed water bad. Up ahead, a small gas station appeared out of the haze. One of those isolated places, with a couple pumps and a convenience store that looked like it hadn't been updated since the 90 seconds. Hardly any cars around. I pulled off the highway tires, crunching on gravel as I parked near the entrance. Inside, the air was cooler, smelling of stale coffee and motor oil. I grabbed a large bottle of water from the fridge, cracked it open right there, and drank half in one go. The cold felt like relief running through me. Mum had mentioned packing a bottle in the backpack, too, but I figured I'd save it for later. Back at the car, I set the store bottle in the cup holder and reached for the backpack. Might as well check if there was anything I should bring in first, like his phone charger or ID. I unzipped the main compartment, pushing aside folded shirts and socks. My fingers brushed something hard and smooth beneath the clothes. I pulled it out carefully. It was a black metal box, about the size of a thick paperback, with thin wires running along the edges, and a small red LED blinking slowly on one side. On, on, off, like a steady pulse. My breath caught. This wasn't clothes. This wasn't snacks or toiletries. The box was cold, heavier than it looked, with a small switch on the side I hadn't touched yet. The blinking light reflected in the car window, casting faint red glows across the dashboard. I sat frozen, staring at it in my lap. My mind raced through explanations. Some kind of medical device for Landon, a tracker because of the accident. No, nothing made sense. This looked deliberate, hidden under layers like someone didn't want it found easily. The desert heat pressed in through the windows. My hands started shaking. I wrapped the thing back in a shirt, zipped the backpack closed, and set it gently on the floorboard. No way was I driving another mile toward Flagstaff with this. There was a sign a few miles back for a local sheriff's substation. I'd seen it on the way in. My instinct screamed to get there now. I started the engine, pulled back onto the highway, and headed straight for it, heart pounding harder than ever. The small sheriff's substation appeared ahead, a low brick building with a couple patrol cars out front. I swerved into the lot gravel, crunching under the tires, and rushed inside, carrying the backpack like it might go off any second. The front room was quiet, just a young deputy at the desk reviewing paperwork. He looked up friendly at first. "Can I help you, ma'am?" I placed the backpack on the counter, carefully unzipped it, and unwrapped the black box, enough for him to see the blinking light and wires. I found this hidden in my bag. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't belong there. His expression changed instantly. Eyes wide, skin paling, as he leaned closer without touching. He backed up slowly. "Don't move it. Stay right there." He grabbed his radio. "Detective Pratt, get here now. A possible hazardous device at the station." The next minutes blurred. He cleared the few people inside, moved me to a side room away from windows. My hands trembled as I sat on a hard plastic chair, staring at the floor tiles. A woman strode in soon after, confident stride, dark hair tied back detective badge, visible. She glanced at the device through the open door, then came to me. "I'm Detective Dominique Pratt. You did the right thing bringing it here." She asked basic questions first. My name, how I came across it, why I was on the road. I recounted stopping for water, digging through the clothes, finding the cold metal box with its steady red pulse. Pratt nodded to specialists arriving in heavy gear from the State Hazardous Response Unit. They took over the device, sealing it in a containment box. Then they moved my car to a secure area behind the building for full inspection. Waiting felt endless. Pratt brought me into an interview room with better lighting, offered coffee I couldn't drink. These things take time. The team's thorough mirrors, scopes, remote cameras. I nodded, mind racing. "My brother, he's supposed to be hurt. I need to know if he's okay. We'll check that soon," she assured calmly. Outside, I heard muffled voices, equipment rolling. Pratt stepped out periodically, returning with updates. They found something attached underneath, concealed near the fuel line area. A package designed for remote activation, capable of causing total vehicle failure at speed. Hearing that made my stomach drop. Someone intended for me to never reach Flagstaff. Pratt sat opposite expression, serious but kind. "The hospital call. Let's verify now." She dialed the main number for emergency admissions in Flagstaff, provided details from what I'd shared about the supposed crash. The conversation was brief. She ended the call, met my eyes. "No admissions matching your brother's name or the accident description." I shook my head hard. Try again. Maybe wrong hospital. But even as I said it, doubt crept in. They confirmed with multiple facilities in the area. Nothing. I pulled out my phone, dialed Mum repeatedly, voicemail each time. Dad's line rang unanswered. "Landon." Same silence. "No," I whispered. "This isn't happening." I stood paced the small room. My mum was crying. She begged me to come. Pratt waited patiently until I sat again. "People can fake distress. Tell me more about recent family talks." The stories spilled out. Dad's real estate company, tanking after market shifts, forced retirement early. Mum, obsessing over Bill's retirement funds, drying up. How she'd complain about Landon not contributing enough at home, even though he tried picking up odd jobs. I admitted the tension during visits. Arguments about spending Mum, saying they needed better security for the future. Mentioning policies as protection. Pratt took notes, asking follow-ups gently. "Any changes in insurance talk lately?" I recalled Mum pushing family meetings about estate planning, saying it was responsible with Dad's health scares from stress. By the time specialists declared the vehicle, Clear shock had settled into a heavy ache. Pratt explained they'd transport the items for full analysis. Keep my car impounded temporarily. You're staying here tonight for protection, she stated firmly. No contact with anyone until we understand more. I didn't argue. The betrayal sank deeper with every passing minute. The backpack prepared for me, the false emergency, to get me moving fast, on a remote stretch. Pratt arranged a quiet space with a cot checked on me regularly. Her presence felt like the only solid thing left. As the station quieted for the evening shift, questions swirled endlessly. How long had this been planned? What else had I missed? Safety came first, she reminded, but rebuilding trust in anyone seemed impossible now. Dominique Pratt closed the interview room door softly and pulled out a thick folder from her briefcase. She spread documents across the table, bank statements highlighted in yellow loan notices, stamped overdue insurance applications with notes scribbled in the margins. State police have been monitoring your parents' finances for suspected fraud. She began quietly sliding the first set toward me. Your father's real estate firm collapsed 2 years ago after the market downturn hit Nevada hard. They owe close to $800,000 in business loans, personal lines of credit, and second mortgages. Banks are in the final stages of foreclosure on their home. I stared at the figures, the red ink jumping out like accusations. Dad had always brushed off questions about money, saying things were tight but manageable. I'd believed him, sent extra when I could. She moved to the next pages. This is where it gets targeted. Recently, they applied for a $2 million life policy on Landon. It's still pending full approval, because policies that size require extra verification, especially the secondary guardian signature. Yours listed as his closest adult sibling, since you're over 30 and he's 25. The forgery attempt was circled. Mom's handwriting style matched the loops and slants perfectly. Pratt tapped call logs, printed from the insurer. Your mother contacted the company multiple times over the past month, always pushing for faster processing, asking about payout timelines in hypothetical scenarios. We flagged the account for review, but couldn't move without concrete proof of intent. The devices from my car and backpack provided that proof now. Clear evidence of premeditation linked directly to the policy timing. She leaned back slightly. This escalates everything to attempted fraud with aggravating factors. But to make charges stick beyond doubt, we need them to take steps assuming success. My throat tightened. Like what? Continue, as if the plan worked. You stay completely off-grid. No contact. No digital footprint. We'll use existing warrants from the fraud probe to monitor communications movements. Any attempt to file the claim. I pushed the papers away. And Landon. He's in that house with them. Immediate priority. Welfare officers are en route now for a routine check, framed as follow-up to the reported accident. They'll confirm he's safe without tipping anyone off. The wait for that report felt eternal. I paced the small room mind, spinning through every recent interaction. Mom's sudden interest in my weekend plans, asking if I'd drive the highway route. Dad's quiet comments about providing for the family long-term. Pratt stayed calm, reviewing notes. These cases often stem from panic. Good people convince themselves extreme measures are survival. Not good people, I muttered. Not anymore. The radio crackled with update. Landon home healthy. No signs of distress. Officers noted. He seemed confused about my whereabouts, but nothing suspicious. Relief washed over me for him, quickly replaced by rage. He had been the lure, nothing more. Pratt gathered the files. With your cooperation, we control the narrative. They think you're gone. Proceed with the claim. That's irrefutable conspiracy. The plan laid out. Simply transfer. To secure lodging. New temporary phone cash only. Insurance company looped in to delay without alerting. I wrestled internally. Confronting them directly, tempted drive home, demand answers face to face. But that risked everything, including Landon's safety. If they panicked. What if they try something else? Surveillance covers the house 247. Any move outside normal patterns, we intervene. Her confidence helped, but doubt lingered. How long until they bite? Desperate people don't wait forever. I thought of Landon again. Innocent in this mess. Protecting him meant seeing it through. Fine, I said finally. But keep him safe. That's non-negotiable. She nodded. Already done. You're doing the right thing. We shook hands across the table, her grip steady. In that moment, alliance formed against the family I'd lost. The weight settled heavier. Isolation ahead. Watching from shadows as my own parents revealed their true colours. Pratt packed the folder. We'll get justice one step at a time. I followed her out. ready for whatever came next in this nightmare-turned strategy. The specialists finished their work in the remote desert site, towing away the wreckage under cover of darkness. They'd used precise techniques to make the scene look authentic. Deployed barriers, scattered debris, including my wallet and phone fragments, even applied heat signatures that matched a severe fire without actual uncontrolled flames. Everything designed to convince investigators of a tragic single-vehicle rollover. By morning, channels across Nevada ran the story. Anchors reported Beverly Klein missing and presumed dead following a highway crash vehicle engulfed in flames. No witnesses on that stretch. My driver's license photo appeared on screen, taken from a few years back at renewal. Smiling, unaware, Dominique drove me to the safe apartment herself. A second-floor unit in an unremarkable complex, with tinted windows and discreet security. She installed the monitoring system personally. Multiple feeds from hidden cameras and microphones placed during expanded warrants. The first views hit hard. Dad opened the front door to a cluster of neighbours, accepting foil-covered dishes, voice cracking as he thanked them for support. Mum stood beside him, eyes red-rimmed, clutching tissues while describing my planned trip to see Landon. Landon wandered through the background, face pale, repeatedly, dialing numbers on his phone. He organised a volunteer group that afternoon, printing missing posters with my picture, distributing them at local stores and gas stations. Community response grew quickly. A candlelight gathering formed on the lawn that evening. Friends sharing stories about family barbecues I'd hosted. Co-workers mentioning my reliability at the office. Mum spoke to a local reporter voice, trembling as she pleaded for any information. Dad hugged people tightly, shoulders shaking. They looked every bit the devastated parents. From the apartment screen, I muted the audio, sometimes unable to bear the performances. Other times, I turned volume low, searching for inconsistencies. The facade held through initial days. They attended search coordination meetings at the community centre, Mum coordinating meal trains for volunteers. Dad fielded calls from extended relatives, repeating the same sorrowful details. Landon threw himself into efforts, hardest driving routes I'd likely taken, stopping at rest areas to ask truckers if they'd seen anything. His exhaustion showed in slumped posture, unanswered questions to parents about why I hadn't checked in earlier. But private moments revealed shifts. Late one night, kitchen camera caught Dad pouring whiskey, staring at unpaid bills stacked on the counter. "This can't drag forever," he whispered. Mum replied coolly from the doorway. "The insurer requires official declaration first." Rushing looked suspicious. Their whispers grew frequent. Discussions about policy timelines, what documents investigators might need, how long before funds released. Publicly, tears flowed less freely. At a second vigil, Mum's eyes stayed dry longer. Dad checking his watch midway. Landon noticed changes, too. Feeds showed him confronting them in the living room. "You're acting like it's already over. She's my sister." They soothed him with platitudes about preparing for worst case. But tension lingered. I barely left the apartment meals delivered anonymously, windows covered. Dominique visited daily, reviewing recordings, noting patterns. "Classic behaviour," she observed one afternoon. Initial shock genuine in parts, but relief creeping as reality sets in. Seeing that relief, subtle relaxation in shoulders, quieter arguments about money rather than grief. Cut deepest nights alone with the screens became routine. I'd watch old home videos on mute, sometimes contrasting laughter with current deception. Landon withdrew more, spending hours in his childhood bedroom door closed. Audio picked up muffled calls to friends expressing doubt about the official story. Parents' conversations turned practical. Mum researching bereavement leave extensions. Dad calculating mortgage payments against potential payouts. One evening feed captured them in the study. Mum on hold with the insurance adjuster. Dad pacing, when she hung up, frustration evident. "They need coroner confirmation or prolonged absence declaration." "Keep pushing," Dad urged. Their strain mounted visibly. Shorter tempers, less sleep arguments over small things masking bigger fears. The apartment felt like a cage, but also shield. Every revealed layer hardened resolve. Dominique brought printouts of intercepted emails. Mum contacting financial advisors about investment options, post-settlement. "They're inching closer," she said. "Won't be long now." I nodded eyes back on the feed where my former home played out its charade. The people raising me had become performers, and I held the remote from shadows. Dominique started small, careful not to overplay. A single text from an untraceable number arrived on Mum's phone one quiet afternoon. Remember teaching me your apple pie recipe? The feed showed her freeze in the kitchen, staring at the screen. She deleted it immediately, glanced around as if someone watched, then continued chopping vegetables with sharp emotions. Dad noticed her distraction at dinner. Everything okay? Just spam. She snapped too quick. That night, he reached for the bourbon cabinet earlier than usual, pouring a generous glass. The camera audio caught Ice clinking his heavy sigh as he sat alone in the den. The next message came 2 days later, this time to both their phones. The lake house trips were the best. Mum dropped a plate, shattering porcelain across the floor. Dad rushed in, saw her pale face. Another wrong number. She nodded, but her hands shook, wiping up shards. Landon walked in during cleanup, eyebrows raised. What's going on? Nothing, they said together, voices strained. He lingered, watching them exchange looks. An anonymous envelope appeared in the mailbox midweek. No return address postmarked local. Inside, an old printed photo from a family picnic, 10 years back. All 4 of us smiling by the grill, my arm around Landon. On the back, faint handwriting. We miss you. Mum opened it at the table, gasped audibly. Dad grabbed it, studied the writing intently. Who sent this? They searched the street from windows, spotting nothing unusual. Dad's drinking increased. Evenings found him in his recliner glass, rarely empty, staring at nothing. Mom paced more, checking locks, repeatedly questioning delivery drivers about packages. Their arguments escalated. One caught on bedroom mic. Dad's voice low but angry. This is getting out of hand. We went too far, Mum hissed back. You wanted the debt gone just as much. Stop whining and think about our future. Future without her. Without money. We had none anyway. Landon overheard Parts confronting them in the hallway. You're fighting about money now. Bev's gone, and that's all you care about. They denied it. Sent him away with excuses about stress. He retreated to his room, door slammed. Feeds later showed him on his laptop searching news articles about my case. Face tight with worry. Another text arrived. The swing set you built still stands. Dad spilled his drink, reading it aloud. Mum snatched the phone, blocked the number, but new ones came from different sources. She grew paranoid, accusing neighbours of staring too long, convinced someone followed her to the grocery store. Dad retreated further into bottles, mumbling apologies to empty rooms when alone. Landon's confusion deepened. He stopped joining their force normally, eating meals silently or skipping altogether. One late session, he slipped out to the backyard, phone in hand. Audio picked up a whispered call, not to friends, but a number Dominique recognised as the tip line. Is this the detective on my sister's case? Pause. I think something's wrong at home. My parents, they're acting strange. Dominique took the call personally, voice calm, arranging discreet meet. From the apartment, I watched his shoulders slump in relief, talking to her, finally voicing fears. Mum discovered the backyard conversation, somehow confronted him inside. Who are you talking to? A friend. He lied poorly. Arguments exploded then, all 3 voices overlapping on feeds. Dad defending Landon weakly, Mum accusing betrayal. The house atmosphere turned toxic. Doors slammed regularly. Conversations clipped or avoided. Dad's hands shook, pouring drinks. Mum barely slept, jumping at noises. Landon packed a small bag one night, hesitated, unpacked, torn between leaving and staying for answers. I sat through every feed, heart aching and hardening alternately, seeing my little brother suffer unknowingly, parents unravel under guilt and fear. Dominique reviewed recordings daily. It's working, cracks widening fast. The pressure built relentlessly, each nudge peeling away layers of pretense. The call from the insurance company came on a weekday morning. Mum answered in the kitchen voice, shifting from cautious to eager. As the adjuster explained that with the official accident report and prolonged absence declaration, preliminary processing could begin. They scheduled an in-person meeting in Phoenix to review documents and finalise details. Dad paced while she relayed the news face, mixed with relief and nerves. They packed overnight bags, dressed in sombre outfits. Mum in a black blouse, Dad in his rarely worn suit. The drive south took most of the day highways cutting through desert landscapes. Conversations sparse from feeds in the car. They arrived at the towering glass building downtown Valet, parking the sedan. Lobby cameras captured Mum checking makeup in a reflective surface. Dad loosening his collar despite cool air. The conference room offered panoramic views. Polished tables set with water pitchers and notepads. 3 representatives waited. Senior adjuster, legal counsel, fraud investigator, posing as administrator. Mom sat straight, sliding prepared folders across. Death certificate proxy based on findings policy copy beneficiary forms affidavit from grieving family. She spoke confidently. We've cooperated fully with authorities. The loss has been devastating, but we need closure to handle final affairs. Dad added, little nodding agreement, hands clasped tight to hide trembling. The senior adjuster reviewed pages slowly. Everything appears in order. One last verification, he signalled. Screen descended, displaying compiled evidence. Traffic cams showing my vehicle route, financial transfers timed suspiciously. Application anomalies. Even partial device recovery reports redacted for public. Mum's posture stiffened. These are circumstantial. The policy stands. Dad glanced at exit sweat beating. Counsel interjected calmly. Additional concerns from law enforcement collaboration. Mom began countering point by point, citing clauses, timelines, emotional hardship, delaying proper grief. When she demanded immediate disbursement, the door opened. Dominique Pratt entered first, flanked by detectives. Then I followed. Silence gripped the room. Mum's pen dropped, rolling across table. Dad's chair creaked as he gripped armrests, mouth working soundlessly. I stood midway, arms at side, staring directly. Years of memories flashed. Bedtime stories, holiday dinners, graduation cheers. Now overshadowed by this moment. Mum found voice first shrill. You're dead, we identified. Dad reached out, shaking hand. Beverly, my girl. Mum whirled on him. This was your plan. You said the debts would bury us. He recoiled. No, you mapped it all. The devices, the timing. I only agreed because you wouldn't stop. Accusations ricocheted. Mum, insisting desperation drove him. Dad, claiming manipulation from her research. Executives remained seated, watching unfold. Dominique allowed seconds of chaos, then spoke. Enough. Archie Clenner, Mabel Clenner, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder and insurance fraud. Officers advanced with cuffs. Mum struggled briefly. He masterminded it. Check his browser history. Dad wept openly. Forgive me, Beverly. We lost everything. I stayed rooted. No tears. No words yet. Side door opened again. Landon stepped in escorted eyes, searching until landing on me. Relief hit first, rushing forward for embrace. Then, horror, as Dominique summarized charges. He pulled back, facing parents. Money for her life. Mum averted gaze. Dad mumbled apologies through sobs. Landon turned away, standing beside me. Cuffs secured rights read methodically. Mum's protests echoed down corridor as led out. Dad shuffled head down, repeating, Sorry. Room emptied gradually. Executives expressed shock, assured full cooperation, freezing assets. Landon gripped my arm. I suspected, but never this. We left together officers clearing path through building security, now aware. Outside Phoenix. The sun beat down contrast to cold inside. The unraveling complete. No performances left. The trial dragged through a Nevada courtroom for weeks. Reporters crowding the halls each morning for updates on the case everyone called the ultimate family betrayal. Prosecutors built their argument layer by layer, starting with financial experts explaining the collapse of Dad's real estate business. Market crash, wiping out investments, loans defaulting one after another. Foreclosure notices piling up. They displayed timelines on large screens. Debt spikes matching sudden interest in life policies online. Searches for remote activation methods traced to Mum's devices. Dominique Pratt testified over multiple sessions, calm and precise. She walked jurors through device recovery, vehicle attachment points, how the setup targeted isolated highway stretches for maximum effect. Defense tried painting pictures of overwhelmed parents, claiming panic over ruin led to irrational choices. No real intent to harm. Cross-examination grew heated. Mum's attorney suggested coercion from debt collectors. Dad's lawyer argued diminished capacity from stress. Landon took the stand reluctantly, describing home atmosphere shifting. Parents withdrawn, secretive calls. His growing suspicion culminating in that Phoenix office revelation. His testimony carried weight, voice steady, despite emotion detailing final confrontation where truth exploded. I attended every day, sitting in public rows, facing them directly. Mum met my gaze, rarely, expression hardened defiance. Dad looked over often, eyes swollen, mouthing silent regrets. Evidence mounts included staged scene photos. Wreckage arranged convincingly personal items placed for identification. Prosecutors played selected home recordings. Late-night whispers about payout timelines. Arguments over blame. Closing statements emphasized premeditation. Weeks of preparation forged signatures. False emergency crafted to exploit sibling bond. Jury deliberated 4 full days tension building outside with media speculation. Verdicts returned guilty across counts. Conspiracy attempted fraud with deadly means. Sentencing phase brought victim statements. Landon spoke first, describing lost faith in family foundation. I followed voice even. They raised me to protect my brother. Instead, they used him as bait to erase me for money. Judge considered aggravators. Breach of parental trust. Sophistication. Lack of remorse shown. Mabel sentenced to life without parole. Deemed primary planner. Who sourced components, orchestrated deception. Archie received 28 years acknowledgement of lesser initiative, but failure to intervene at any stage. Remaining property liquidated through court order. House auction proceeds applied to creditors, leaving nothing for appeals. Divorce finalized via prison legal services. No direct contact permitted. Landon moved immediately, renting apartment blocks from mine. We rebuilt routines together, grocery runs, movie nights, processing grief in shared silence or long conversations. He blocked all prison correspondence, returned packages unopened. I kept my name facing local curiosity head-on. Whispers at stores, questions from old acquaintances, answered honestly when needed, ignored otherwise. Volunteering began at a centre supporting intrafamily violence survivors. Leading groups, hearing stories mirroring parts of mine, offering insights from lived experience. Letters arrived monthly at first. Moms, filled with denial, blame shifting. Dads pleading forgiveness, promising change. Each returned unmarked. Refused delivery. Life normalised gradually. Promotion at work recognised dedication. Weekends exploring nearby trails, with Landon appreciating simple freedoms. Community involvement grew. Speaking at awareness events, emphasising financial desperation, signs in loved ones. Reflecting back greed's corrosion proves insidious. It starts small. Justifications, rationalizations, erodes core values until unrecognisable. Family ties' strongest bonds become most devastating when weaponized. Trust shattered this way leaves permanent fractures. Rebuilding possible, but never identical. Cutting contact isn't cruelty. It's boundary essential for healing. I've learned vigilance matters. Noticing offhand money obsessions. Sudden policy discussions. Isolation attempts. Those instincts guided me to safety. Sharing hopes they guide others. Desperation explains, never excuses. Enabling destruction from within invites it. Today, surrounded by chosen relationships, purpose through helping others, peace feels earned. Survival transformed into strength. Betrayal into wisdom. The real inheritance. Resilience over riches. That's a lesson carried forward.